Hello, everybody. It is so aligned for us to be on this live with you today. We woke up having no plans of going live, and it just aligned. Our guides are giving us a few specific topics to discuss today. It's all about navigating the intensity, it's all about navigating the current energies. So, we're going to just flow, but our intention is to really give you a lot of clarity. And the entire intention of this live is to provide a recalibration, a realignment in all areas of your lives so that you can move forward with clarity, with peace, with focus, and with surety. Welcome. I love you all.
And it was so beautiful. I was watching the screen of people who had joined, and it was exactly 144 people watching us live the moment we stepped in. And these divine confirmations are always such a beautiful reminder that no matter how intense things seem to be getting around us in the planet, in the news, in our daily lives, no matter how challenging or chaotic the energy seems to be, our angels are always surrounding us and they're just waiting for us to call upon them. But that's the last thing we remember, right? When we're in the middle of chaos, the last thing we remember is to call upon our angels because we're like, no, I have to get to my to-do list, or I have to do this because otherwise I'll be left behind, or something negative will occur if I don't get this done. So
I actually wanted to start with the analogy that my guides gave me today.
yeah,
I
go
forgot
ahead.
about that. So, guides, so this morning, just 20 minutes ago, I was going into my meditative space to prepare energetically for this live. And I got this download of an analogy that my guides, it's not actually mine, it's my guides gave this to me to share with you all. They said, close your eyes and imagine yourself cruising on a massive Harley Davidson or like a motorbike of your choice, and you're cruising through the freeway. There's mountains on both sides, there's lakes. It's just magical. The wind is caressing your face, your hair is rustling in the wind. How does that feel to just be on this gorgeous motorbike cruising on the highway, the freeway? Complete bliss, complete flow, complete ease. There's no traffic on the highway. It's just surreal. Magic surrounds you. The clouds are beautiful. The sun is shining. What a blissful feeling that must be. And what the guides are saying is they're saying, now look at that motorbike or whoever's riding that motorbike and go back to how it was and all the steps needed to get to that point. You have to learn how to walk when you're young. You get up, you fall, you somehow figure out how to walk. Then you have to learn how to ride a bike, like a cycle, a bicycle. You fall, you bruise your feet, your legs, you scrape your knees, you cry, you get frustrated. It feels so hard just learning how to ride a bike, a bicycle. Then you master how to learn a bicycle. Then you have to learn about how the rules of the traffic work, stopping at the red lights, learning how to cope with all these crazy drivers. You have to learn all of that. Then you have to unlock your abundance to be able to afford a motorbike. Then you have to go get a driver's license to even be able to ride a motorbike. And then you have to get insurance for the bike. But once you get all of these things covered, you're suddenly on the freeway riding your bike in complete bliss, in complete surrender. And it's like, wow, I have goosebumps as I'm saying this. It's like, wow, I made it. So, what the guides are saying is that remember and be tender with yourselves, because to get from where you are or where you were and where you're going takes time. It takes surrender. It takes falling down. It takes scraping your knee. It takes making mistakes. It takes, sometimes you get frustrated with yourself. It's all part of the process. So the message is to go easy on yourselves and remember that you're going to this magical land where you are untethered. You are riding your motorbike, your markabas are active, you're spinning through life in complete bliss, in complete harmony,
And mastery.
in mastery. There's no tethers. There's no tethers weighing you down. There's no craziness, there's no traffic. And to get to that point, you are doing everything you can right now. And yes, it can be intense right now. It is intense. But learning to accept the intensity instead of resist the intensity is a big message for today. Learning how to ride these waves without the frustration, learning how to ride these waves in complete compassion for yourself, not blaming yourself that I'm not good enough, or I'm not there, or I'm not fast enough, I don't have guidance, I'm not channeling. Instead of having all of that, to really surrender that you are on a journey and there is no destination. This is so important. You are on a journey and there is no destination. We are on a journey and we are not headed to any destination. Our journey is the process, is the destination. So I just wanted to start with that, my friends. I know it's been very, very intense, and I hope the whole purpose of the singing bowls and the stable container we created is to share these frequencies of calm and peace and stability. Because I can tell you very, very honestly that once you get to a certain place in your lives, I can tell you based on personal experience, we arrived in Miami. We literally are traveling the world right now with 5 suitcases. You guys know our story. We don't have any sense of stability in a 3D sense of a way. But this is the happiest we've ever been. This is the most masterful we've ever been. We arrived in Costa Rica. We got guidance. We held a retreat. We moved to Miami within 2 weeks of landing in Miami. We said, okay, we're doing the House of Ra Solstice event. We launched the Melchizedek Rose Mystery School, the psychic protection course. We moved from Miami to, I can't even keep track. We moved to Tulum. We're launching the Tulum event. How are we doing all this? We did the 222 conference. We're now launching the cord cutting. How are we doing all of this in these intense energies? Siman is going to talk a little bit about that. But we are doing it because we have anchored a sense of mastery in our lives. We've anchored a sense of being untethered in our lives, where we are grounded enough, where all these projects really seem like a piece of cake because the alignment is there. It's that alignment that is needed for the magic to happen.
And that was a beautiful analogy about the riding the bike on the highway in complete bliss and harmony and mastery. And I was chuckling while EldoRa mentioned that, because as we woke up, as we got out of bed this morning and came down, all we knew at that point was that we want to take it easy today, and we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with work because we've been going at it. And we had no intention of making the video, but our guides are the same, mostly, but my guides were channeling ideas to myself, and her guides were channeling ideas to her. And little do we realize that we're going to end up in a YouTube live and channeling these ideas. They're quite sneaky that way. So the other half of that download that EldoRa mentioned about riding the bike on the motorcycle was given to me before the video and before I even knew I'm supposed to make a video today, or that I'm even up to that, we even want to make a video today. We didn't even want to this morning. So the other half of that download of riding the bike on the highway was this whole life on earth is your practice. So think of your whole life on earth as your practice for learning how to be in balance and mastery. So when you're in your 5D state, when you're in your ascended state, you're going to be able to navigate that reality as if you're riding a bike on the highway with complete balance, perfected harmony, and commanding everything, not being overwhelmed by the forces around you. So many of us pay so much value and attention to this life. Many of us feel that this life is all there is, and they forget the fact that you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to fall down and bruise your knee. You're allowed to go off tangent and come back to your soul's purpose. You're allowed to deviate from your path and then learn the hard way and then realize that you need to come back to your center. So think of this whole life on earth as all the training that you need to be in your 5D mastery, where you have perfected the balance of all your chakras, where you've perfected the balance of your communication, your mastery over how you exert your power, your mastery of being in your heart, opening your guidance and channeling, communicating with your angels on a daily basis, sending commands to the universe of all the things you need lined up in your life, so you're not operating only in the third dimension. You realize that you have a whole team above you and below you. You're not alone in this. And that's the true mastery. It's only when we isolate ourselves from the spirit within us, it's only then we feel overwhelmed. Because for a human, yes, this is too much. For if you're simply like a 3D human with no direction, no guidance, no idea whether you should go left or right, whether you should move out of your country or stick it out, the future is bleak or the future is bright, until we connect with our pillar of light and connect with all the dimensions above and all the dimensions below, until then, yes, life will be overwhelming, but we have to keep coming back to our center, and we have to align ourselves first. And when we are in alignment, then life will be in alignment. Then you'll be just, think of it this way, your role on planet Earth, when you're in mastery, so I'm giving our own example. Our role on planet Earth is just to send the commands. That's what we learned in mastery. It's like the universe is our concierge, and we send commands to the universe, and it has never failed us. I'm not even kidding. I cannot overemphasize this enough. Your only job on planet Earth is to send the commands for what you want to realize in life. And to send the commands, you cannot be like this. You cannot be in fear. You have to be in a balanced state in mastery, and you have to be in full surrender and faith. And when you're in that knowing state, when the universe sees that you are not just sending the command with a vibration of fear, like it may happen, it may not happen. When you have faith, that's why it was said in ancient texts that it takes the faith of the amount of a mustard seed to move mountains. So what that really means is, when you fully trust the universe, that the universe has your back, and from that trusting place of surrender, you can send the commands and anything will come into your life. But if you're asking for things out of fear, then those things will not happen in your life. In fact, you'll attract negative situations.
So there's another way I can also explain the same thing based on our personal example. So currently, as you guys know, our vortex is full. We're doing a lot, basically, because we have fully 100% stepped into our divine mission on planet Earth. And our focus is extremely aligned, meaning, like a friend of mine said, do you want to go shopping a few days ago? And in my head, I'm thinking, not really. She said, do you want to do a photo shoot? Let's go take some pictures. But that wasn't in alignment. So even though my human is excited to go do all of that, I don't feel in alignment. So I almost canceled. But yesterday, we got guidance to go and take pictures in the property that we're hosting the event for. Now, that was in full alignment, right? So when it's in alignment and you move forward, then life becomes a lot easier, because you're not wasting your time in 10 different directions. Now, there's something that I want to also talk about based on what he just said to really seal in this teaching. We could be in a state, if we were not masterful, we could easily slip into a state where we're in stress about the event. We could slip into states where we're in fear of the event. Like, you're dealing with all kinds of people. You're dealing with retreat facilitators, you're dealing with staff, you're dealing with your team. There's so many different variables, right? We could slip into a lot of this and a lot of that. But do you know what we do? You know what our tip is, what our trick is? we keep ourselves in so much joy that we're like, yesterday we had so much fun. We were up at 5 a.m. We went for the sunrise. We took all these amazing pictures and drone shots, and it was so fun. We played, and some of our friends here in Tulum joined us. We had so much fun. We got home at 2 o'clock. We napped. And in that state of joy, when I opened my email, in that state of joy, my assistant Alice sent me an email saying we have about 20 people already sent the money sneakily for the retreat. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, EldoRa, people have been writing to us and saying, hey, we want to make sure we're on the list, so we're going to send you the deposit. So you see how I wasn't stressing it or thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to launch the event? What are we? When are we? We haven't even launched a website yet. We're not in fear. We're not in worry. We're not in stress in any way. We are constantly in a state of joy and bliss and play and fun and alignment. So everything else sorts itself out. This
Exactly.
is the most important way to maneuver life with ease and grace. Now, we have a lot of points that we want to dive into. We asked a question yesterday on our Telegram chat about what you guys are struggling with. We had a lot of comments, so we've only picked maybe 10, at most 15. Do you want to start with one?
You have the list, so you
Oh,
bring
I
it
have
up
the
and
whole list?
of the questions, right?
No, I
I
just
have a particular example that I actually wanted to share. So when at the beginning of the month, 3/3, just to go into the energy update quickly, since 3/3 until March 21st, more or less, until equinox, we're in a state of extreme energetic uprise on planet Earth. So what that really means is that the energy is being intensified on purpose by the galactic commands that are surrounding our planet. And they're intensifying this because the events on planet Earth right now are in a state where they're about to reach a boiling point or a peaking point. And when the energy becomes intense, the galactics actually intensify the energy around us. And it feels like as if life is moving too fast, life is becoming overwhelming. But in that state, if we identify that feeling of overwhelming, feeling of being overwhelmed or feeling overwhelmed, if you identify with that feeling that this is me, if you say I'm overwhelmed, what you're really saying is I am overwhelmed, but you're really not overwhelmed. You are a divine being. You are God having a human experience, and God is never overwhelmed because God is omnipotent. So this is not just a saying. This is not something just spiritual teachers say because it sounds cool. All of us have a particle of God within us. It's just that within the chaos, we forget who we truly are. And it's easy to forget our godlike nature and our godlike ability to command. So I'll give you an example of what happened in my personal experience. In the beginning of March, I started feeling a bit overwhelmed. Like there's so many things lining up that I need to get done. I have no clue how to schedule them in. And then my guides and angels stepped in right away and they reminded me. They said, go back to your godlike self and command us. You're not supposed to take the burden. The burden is ours. So I'm like, thank you for that reminder. So I just lay back on my bed. I took it easy. I forgot about my to-do list, even though my ego said, no, you need to go look at that. I'm like, nope, I'm not looking at that. I'm going to command from the fifth dimension. So I went back into my meditative state and I said, I need my car rental renewed. Please make it easy. I need to launch a website. Please line up all the resources. I need to launch 2 events, line up this, and this. So then fine. Next day, what happens? Next day, I'm like happily going to the car rental company because it was due that day. It was going to expire. And my guides kept pinging me. They said, no, you're not supposed to go today. I'm like, no, it's expiring. What are you talking about? If I don't go, they're going to cancel my contract and I'll end up without a car. What you guys must not know how things work on Earth, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm smarter than them. I got this, right? So I forced myself uphill and went through all the traffic and ended up at the car rental center. And it was like afternoon. It was hot as like crazy. And there's a huge lineup. And when I go stand in the lineup, I just go stand in the lineup, and they said, wait a minute, the lineup doesn't start here, it starts outside the door. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's the lineup? It looked like a freaking festival. So then I'm like, okay, guys, you're a bit smarter than me.
No, at that point he just said, screw this, I'm going home.
Yeah,
he was home in 20 minutes.
I
he
started
was back
chuckling
home.
at my guides, and I'm like, fine, I'll go home. I get it. And I'm like, okay, now I surrender. Tell me what I need to do to get this done easier. They're like, your contract will be canceled, and you'll go tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and everything will work out. And lo and behold, when I went home, I got an email from the car rental company saying, your contract is canceled. If I was in my ego at that point, if I was in fear, I would be thinking, oh, that's it, right? Now I don't have a car. But I knew, because I was having this communication, and I spent the time to clear myself. I spent the time to meditate and communicate with my higher self for guidance. So I knew that nothing's going to go wrong. And lo and behold, the next morning, I set the alarm for like 8 a.m., went there, first thing in the morning, no lineup, and they simply renewed my contract. I walked out of there smiling.
And he was home in 20 minutes.
Literally, with coffee in my hand.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Sometimes your guidance will defy logic, but surrender means that you need to surrender your logic, because your higher self has a 20/20 vision. They have a bird's eye view perspective, and they can move things around when we are in a state of relaxed ease. But when we're not in that state, your higher self is blocked from even communicating with you. So that is the biggest key we can give you.
Yes. So this is actually a great time to segue into my first point, which is exactly tied into that. Somebody yesterday asked, how do I differentiate between my intuition and my ego? Do you guys resonate with that? Like, I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, resonate. How do I know when it's guidance, and how do I know when it's my ego? So what are your thoughts on that? So there are many different ways of approaching this. The important thing to remember, you guys, is that ego only has its entry to control you when you are in a lower vibrational state of being, such as frustration. There's 100. I'm just naming 4 or 5. So let's say you're really frustrated about something. Frustration is the realm of the ego. Let's say you're in resistance to something. Let's say you're lethargic. Your body's been telling you go stretch and you're not stretching, and you're in a state of resistance. Resistance is the realm of the ego. It thrives in resistance. It loves it when you have resistance. It's like the ego just wants to lay on the couch and eat potato chips and watch Netflix and really do nothing. What else? When you're in a state of anger, when you're in a state of victim consciousness, these are all realms of the ego.
Even state of blame.
Yes, projection. These are all states of the ego. So when you're in any of these lower vibrational states, it all starts with your vibration, which is why we say frequency is your highest currency, literally. When you're in all these states of blame or projection, even the slightest, I'm talking the slightest, even over ambition. Let's say you have an overly ambitious, like based on what we're doing right now, we have to leave ambition out of the door, which is why we're so aligned. If we were in our ambition is also the realm of the ego. The ego, let's say we were in our ego, the ego would drive us nuts. The ego would say, oh my God, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that, you can do 20 healings a month, and the ego would drive us crazy. But when you're not in your ego, when you're in your higher self mastery, and when you have your higher self controlling you, really, Siman and I have our higher selves controlling us. 90% of the time, it's our higher self speaking, walking, talking, making choices. 90%. We still have our 10% human, which we love. But it's always remembering that when you are feeling, okay, is this thought my ego or my intuition? You go back to realizing, am I clear? Am I grounded? Am I in my heart? Am I projecting blame? Am I in this another way of putting it is, am I in a low vibrational state, or am I in a high vibrational state? When you differentiate this, if you are in a low vibrational state, it is your ego.
100%.
Your ego will convince you in a very clever way. Your ego will convince you that it is watching out for your good. Your ego will convince you that it has your back. Your ego will convince you that you have to do 10 things when your higher self is telling you, no, just rest, meditate, go in nature, take the day off, do nothing. Your ego will convince you that that's not what you need to do. So, how do you identify if it's your intuition or it's your mind, which is the ego? You always go back to alignment. You go back to seeing, how have I been behaving the past few days? Have I been super calm, super grounded, super in a high vibrational state, in joy and bliss? Then, of course, it's my intuition. And your intuition will always excite you. The ego will always make you feel like you're losing out on something. You're not fast enough. You're not good enough. Come on, get up, go do this, go do this. Before someone else does it, you go do it. The ego will always try to control you, and you'll feel like, oh my God, this sense of rush, this sense of panic. So, this is the easiest way for you to identify. Now, as you guys go along more and more of your ascension, like in our lives, we find the ego surfaces maybe once every 2 months or so. And it's like a sliver of ego. It's so hard to detect. But we have gotten master Jedi level experts at detecting the ego, because now we can literally see it. So even when the ego rears its head, we thank it and we say, oh my God, I am still not in mastery there. There's always going to be this sliver unless you're fully embodied as your higher self. So this is the best way to watch out for it.
Absolutely. And so when you're in a lower vibrational state, like EldoRa mentioned, you're just not going to be able to access your higher self. So make your litmus test of knowing whether it's guidance or whether it's your fear talking is, how do you feel inside? If you're feeling like you're getting messages, but you're like going into fear, like do this or else, that's not guidance. Your guidance will be like in the state we are right now. How do you feel right now? Do you feel tense watching us, or do you feel connected, uplifted, happy, joyful? See, this is not just the state we muster up 5 minutes before our YouTube video to appear as masters to you. This is our life. What we do on the screen is only 10% of the mastery that we display in our real lives. So I'm saying this because I want you to have an anchor or a reference point to what your higher self mastery looks like. When you're in your higher self mastery, you're not in a chaotic energy. You are in a calm energy. You're in a poised energy. You are centered. Or you may be feeling overwhelmed. And in that state, your only job becomes how to get back into your state of mastery. So when we're thrown off course, we're not saying we're like robotic higher self masters. We're not always our higher self, but that occasion when we're thrown off and we are obviously affected by the energy waves, we're affected by the overwhelm temporarily, our only job becomes to drop all things and get back into our state of mastery. And the biggest download we can teach you on how to navigate through these turbulent times is that, like I mentioned in the driving, in the car rental example, everything that is aligned with your higher self's guidance is going to feel easy for you, rather than everything that you are looking for is downhill, it's downstream. When you feel like there's something you're being guided to do, but it feels like this, that's probably not guidance. If it feels like this, if it feels like you need to ride your bike and just, you don't even need to pedal, you just need to let go and give the commands and steer the direction, then that's your guidance. So make that your litmus test.
And also your body will guide you. Your body will guide you based on your feeling sensors of what you need to do. And your body is always connected with your guidance, your body, your feeling states. So let's say, I'll give you an example. So let's say you're, because we got a lot of emails talking about this, saying, please help us. And I mean, comments yesterday saying, we're in Canada, should we just sell our home? Because one part of us wants to just sell our home and get out of this dreaded country. And the other part of us wants to just stick it out, tough it out. How do we know which is our higher self? How do we know? Many of you are going through this. So you know this by, first of all, clearing yourself, getting into your state of joy, having clarity, stepping back from the situation and say, I'm not going to use my head to think about this at all, stepping back. And then very pragmatically, very strategically saying, all right, what do I need to do? What is my heart telling me? Do I like being in Canada? The answer may be yes. The answer may be no. And then you say, all right, what do I need to do to get to a place with more sun, with more beach? And these are the steps I need to take. All right, so go ahead and do that. And tune into when you say these things. So let's say you say, I just want to sell my home in Canada and I want to move to Mexico or Costa Rica or wherever in the world. How does your body feel? Does your body feel excited or does your body feel constricted? Constriction is your body talking to you. Expansion and excitement is also your body talking to you. So constantly be in this communication with your body, because that's your body is connected to your higher heart.
Yes.
So right now we are in the times where we are living in the heart. The past, the age of now we're in the age of Aquarius, and in the past, in the age of Pisces, right?
Yeah.
We were completely dominated by our minds. It was all about power and
Logic.
success and earning more than you did last year, and constantly going up. And the mind has its own agenda. It wants to make you, it's over ambitious. So constantly start flowing in with your heart, your body. Your higher heart's wisdom is always connected to what your higher self. So tuning into the heart is a big practice you can cultivate on a day-to-day basis. It's super easy.
Yes. And like we say from time to time, and this is a good point to remind you, that your feeling sensors, your feelings are the language of your soul. So your soul is actually guiding you. So one of the litmus tests, we're in a very similar situation to that couple who asked that question, but should I move out of Canada? Should I stay here? Should I move to a nature reserve within Canada? Should I move to another country? I have no idea. So we're in a similar situation because 2 months or 3 months from now, we don't know where we're going to go. But if we were in our ego fear, we would already start like getting jittery and nervous. But we're in our mastery because we know we have had so many experiences with our universe and our higher self, proving to us that when we surrender, they got us, that we no longer need to be in fear. We just know because we're like so held, and we want every single one of us to get there.
Because in May, like we're doing the retreat, right? The last day of the retreat is what, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we want to get out of Mexico by the 20th because it gets unbearably hot June, July, August. May is still nice. So we want to get out of here. And also this house, we have till about May 10th, 20th. I'm going to extend it to the 20th maybe. So we don't know where we're going. And that can be a little nerve-wracking. But I laughed and said to Siman, I said, okay, even though we have plans to go to Ibiza, we're not going if it's not open society. So if any of you are in Ibiza, please write to us, or Croatia, write to us, because these are the two countries, the places that are calling our heart.
Actually, if you are in any spot on earth that you think is like heaven on earth, we want to hear from you.
With no mask
because we're looking
mandates
for
and all of that.
For a place.
So, and our heart is guiding us to Croatia. I've never even heard of Croatia.
Yeah.
Like seriously, when he said Croatia, I'm like, is this like a poverty-stricken
I've never even
city?
heard of Croatia.
He's like, I'm getting guidance about Croatia, just like I'm getting guidance about Ibiza. So our heart is taking us there, but we're not going to go no matter what. If there's like all these crazy, if you have to wear a mask to go to grocery shopping, we're so spoiled in Tulum. So I send you Floridans, especially Linda, if you're watching, you're going to be thrilled. I said to Siman, don't worry. If nothing works out, we'll just go back to Florida or San Diego where it's open. But you see, we're in this state of complete surrender. And that's what makes it easy. I'm not thinking, oh shit, all the houses in Ibiza, because I want a nice house in Ibiza. I'm not thinking, oh shit, all the houses are going to be booked. We're not in a state of fear. And that's what aligns you.
Yeah. And also one way to look at it is, even if we go back to Florida, that even seems like a step backwards. Yes. It doesn't seem like a step forward. Yes. It seems like a fear-based decision because we don't know where else to go.
Because my heart is no longer in Florida.
We don't just jump and say, okay, we don't have any option right now. We have 2 months, so let's book a Airbnb in Florida just in case. What we do is we wait till the nth minute, and we don't make the decision until our higher self guides us.
Yes.
And we simply clear ourselves. We simply meditate. And in that state, we don't say, higher self, should I go to Ibiza? Higher self, should I go to Croatia? We don't go in a logical way. We simply visualize the ideal surroundings that we want to create. We don't put any specific location to it. And this is a very important key to remember. Because when you're asking the universe for an answer, Don't restrict yourself to option A, B, or C. Only ask the universe, I am manifesting a beautiful home. I'm looking for white sandy beaches with oceans. I'm looking for a society that is open, that has no minimal or no control mechanisms, open society, loving people, conscious people, community, and all of that good stuff. And then let your higher self and the universe present you with options at the right time. And also, don't jump into a frenzy if you don't get the guidance until the nth minute, because the universe may need to wait until the right time to present you with the option.
So a lot of people are saying Croatia is gorgeous, and many people are saying come to India. So Bangalore is where I'm from in India, and this is how crazy 3D is. He was born in Pakistan, although he left Pakistan when he was very young. So he has and if you're born in Pakistan, it's hard to get a visa to go to India. And I want to go to the Himalayas because I have this like 5-star luxury spa resort. It's called Ananda.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's
Oh
called
my God.
Ananda, Ananda.
And the ascended masters have their retreat in the Himalayas.
And so we said, and how do we do it? I don't sit and say, oh man, I want to go to India. I want to go to the Himalayas and I want to spend 2 weeks in this, spa resort. But instead I said to the universe, I said, hey, we're no longer following the rules of the matrix. So connect us in a way that India opens us for us when it's the right time, where we don't have to go through all these stupid 3D rules of visa, Pakistan, India, who the hell cares? And just open it up. And when it's time, so what the guides are saying is that the Himalayas have a lot of activations for us that are waiting, but we're not stressed. We will go when it's the right time. India may not be the right time now, but all of a sudden it'll just open up. So just being in that flow is important. So the next point that I want to segue into is for every single one watching to be aware that based on everything we're going through right now, there is a huge ball of collective exhaustion in the collective.
Yeah.
Collective exhaustion. People are exhausted going through their ego triggers. Like imagine a child trying to ride a bike, learning how to ride a bike, and every day that this person's falling because the training wheels have come off. With the training wheels, everything's great. So think of life in your 3D lives where you had the training wheels on your bike. So you're happy with life, you're riding the bike, you have the training wheels on, and suddenly the training wheels comes off and you're in like this realm of 4D because it's that 4D bridge to get to 5D. The training wheels come off. Now you fall, you injure yourself, and you're like, I was so happy. And now I'm falling, I'm scraping myself, I'm constantly bruised. So really have compassion for this version of you that's constantly falling, constantly bleeding, constantly struggling, constantly exhausted. And know with surety, I've said this before, that 444 people in the house, you guys, I just looked and that was the number. What I love is that ascension and descension always go in cycles. I've said this before. For every 10 days, let's say, where you go through your descension where life is hard, the next 10 days are ascension where, oh my God, okay, I learned that ego lesson. Oh, I learned that trigger lesson. Okay. So you see, you learn all these ego lessons and then life becomes easy and then you go through a period of ascension. So there's descension and then there's ascension. And just so always know that if your life is extremely chaotic or hard or challenging, it's not you. You don't have bad luck. It's not you. The energies right now on planet Earth are so intense that it's literally saying, all right, where does Lisa need a smack in her butt to get to Lisa's higher self? Let's smack the crap out of Lisa. I'm just saying this. You know what I mean? So let's make sure all her ego triggers come up, because right now we're on a fast forward bullet train, you guys. It's not like a slow bullet cart. We're going in a freaking rocket ship right now. All of us are. So be compassionate and having that mindset that, okay, nothing's wrong with me. I'm okay. It's just Earth is getting intense and all this intensity is happening for my good and not to punish me or not because something's wrong with me.
That's very important to understand, because our ego is averse to pain. Okay, so take that point and pay a lot of attention to it, because our ego is designed to always avoid pain. But our higher self sometimes takes us through this journey of discomfort to show us what we've been avoiding. So if you always stay in your comfort zone, if you never move from your geographical location, if you always stay in the same job, in the same kind of relationship, if you put up with the status quo and never look to improve, then your higher self has no choice but to push you forward, push you forward, push you forward. Because the way this ascension is working is that we're in a take it or leave it kind of deal scenario. There's no like, hey, you know what, guys, you go ahead. I'm going to stay back in 3D. Life's good here. At least I know my misery and suffering. It's bearable. It's fine. You guys go ahead. It's not going to work like that. We're all going forward. And if your life is becoming intense, it means your higher self is saying, hey, buddy, you need to catch up. So your higher self is going to throw you in turmoil when your ego is simply not getting it. Okay. So take that as guidance too. Sometimes the turmoil is your higher self pushing you forward because your ego is resisting change. So pay a lot of attention to where am I being pushed out of my comfort zone and what are the repeating patterns constantly coming into my life. For example, if you're constantly going back to your job that you hate or despise, and you're not coming up with a plan on how to launch your business that aligns with your soul's purpose and become an abundance magnet and have a joyful life that fully aligns with your purpose and set your soul on fire. If you're not doing that, then your higher self is going to create scenarios to constantly reflect to you that your job is not aligned with you. It's going to make your boss shout at you. It's going to make the traffic worse. It's going to give you like 100 different signs every day until you get it. So the best thing to do in this scenario, like we said, everything that you want is downstream. When you see that you're constantly pushing upstream, and I've been in that situation in these jobs as a computer programmer like 15 years ago, but I was also very resistant in that case. I was like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know. Like, I like DJing on the side, but that's not going to pay my bills. Like, what do I do?
Like,
but
his job had become his identity.
Yeah, my job had become my safety net, right? So I kept pushing. I should have like quit like 5 years ago, but I kept pushing because I was like, I don't know what else to do. But my higher self literally threw me off the cliff, metaphorically speaking. They literally took my job from me in the end. They're like, this guy really needs. They just took my safety net there, and I got my contract ended in that last miserable
and
job.
Then when he came home, he had the look of this complete failure in life, head hanging in complete shame. He came home at 3 o'clock. I'm like, why are you home so early? He's like, baby, I'm so sorry to do this to you. I think we should sit down. And he made me sit down. And he was like hanging his head in shame as if like the worst thing had happened. I'm like, tell me what's happening. What the hell happened? Because we had just moved in with each other. This was 7 years or 8 years ago. And he's like, I got fired. And instantly I said, what are you talking about? This was on Monday evening. I said, don't you remember on Friday, Jesus asked you if you're ready to step into your soul's mission? And you said, fuck yeah. This is what it is. Let's go out. Let's go out for the best date restaurant in Toronto. Let's open a bottle of wine.
Yes.
Let's have a great time. And we celebrated.
Exactly.
So knowing that your higher self can slap you in the face when you're not listening to your guidance.
Yes.
This is so important. Your higher self can slap your ass. It can slap you in the face when you are not listening to your guidance.
When you're not getting it.
So you can either say, all right, I'm just going to wait for that slap, which can be very intense. Or you can say, oh my God, I don't want to get to that phase where I am slapped.
Yes.
I'm going to follow my guidance from now because I know what's important for me. I know what I need to do.
Yes. And many of us are also in the situation where we feel like I am aligning with my higher self, but my 3D job or my 3D life or my commitments are constantly coming in the way. So what you've done in that scenario is saying, this is my spiritual life and this is my 3D life. And I'm going to succeed in my spiritual life, and my job is to keep everything in balance in my 3D life so I can be in balance in my spiritual life. But you see, things don't work that way. Your higher self doesn't differentiate between spirituality and your 3D life. There's only life. So if your 3D life is throwing things at you constantly that are taking up your time, that are making you feel overwhelmed, that are making you feel as if you don't have enough time to devote to spirituality, the whole problem is that your life is clogged up with too many things that are not serving your highest good. So take a blank piece of paper. You can do this after this video. Just take a blank piece of paper and write down all the draw circles. Write down in one, draw a circle and write down in that circle anything that feels burdensome to you. It could be a friend, it could be a job, it could be a relationship.
It could be even your kids.
It could be,
write it down.
It could even be a hobby that I want to be a musician because I got this download, but it's just not working out and I'm frustrated. It could be anything. So look at all aspects.
It could be anything. So when you write this, it's important to not judge, oh, I can't write my kids on that list. Of course you can. Write your mother. Say, my damn mother, my damn son.
My kids had to be, I had to exit from my children's life. They were held against my will, against me. But I had to be in acceptance of losing touch with my daughters because of a nasty divorce in order to fulfill my spiritual mission on earth.
There's more to it than that. He had to make peace with the fact that if his daughters are meant to come back in our lives, because his older daughter is very awake, and it's no coincidence that her name is Myra. I'm EldoRa, he's Siman Ra. We have the house of Ra. She's Myra. It's crazy surreal. And 1 month before we parted ways with her, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
Just before we moved to Costa Rica, really. We went to see her in the park, and then they called the police on us, and her mom, and they said we were drunk. We weren't even drunk.
I don't drink and go see my children.
Yeah, and Myra knows this, right? So she had to witness losing her father or seeing her father for the very last time, because her throat chakra, she's only 14 years old now, is completely blocked because her mother has convinced her that he's a bad father and I'm a horrible person. So now what is the soul contract for Myra? I know we're going deep in this one. The soul contract for Myra is to open her throat chakra and is to realize, oh my God, I need to be with my dad, because she has a soul contract with us. I feel it in my bones. The little girl, Michelle, I'm not so sure about. I think she'll end up staying with her mom. But we have complete trust that when Myra is supposed to come back to our lives, she will. And if it's not meant to be, she won't. So having that level of surrender, you guys, is so important. And the universe will always set up all the keys required to make sure that exactly the perfect execution of this is done. And that would include her mom calling the cops on us, which was the best thing her mom could have done that day. Because in the heat of the moment, she did that. But what she didn't realize is that Myra was in the room crying, because we saw it psychically, crying, bawling, because Myra knows that her father wasn't drunk. Myra knows that her father didn't even touch her. He just said, Myra, if you're okay, I would love to give you a hug. And Myra was shivering because her mom has warned her not to hug us. So she had to go through this experience of seeing the cops come to the house and then never seeing her dad again for the last 2 years now, to be able to break free from the clutches of this mother-daughter relationship when she's older, to then find us.
Yes.
But you see how everything is set up? The guides set that up. We didn't set that up. The guides just said, go today. She's in the park. We were literally driving home and the guide said, go now. And we took a turn. We went to Markham in Ontario, and there Myra was in the park. And we went to see her, the police, and that was the last time we saw her.
And the whole point of this example is that surrender cannot be contained to, oh, I'll only surrender A, B, and C, but I won't surrender my children because that's too much for me. See, surrender means having 100% faith. You cannot have 99.9% faith and 0.01% doubt. You have to be all in or all out. So going back to the example of the piece of paper, if you write down all aspects of your life that are becoming a burden for you, then weigh the options and say, do I need this friend? And your only criteria in deciding whether you need to keep that circle item or not is, does this serve my highest good? So when you draw this, all these circles of things that are becoming a burden in your life, you'll realize how much burden you're carrying for others you're trying to serve others, you're trying to serve family members, you're trying to serve your friends.
And you're trying to control outcomes too much. And remember what he said, it's when things are uphill.
Yeah.
So really, we want you to understand this. So what was uphill for us was continuing to see Myra, constantly being called by the police, constantly having police show up in our doorstep with false accusations was uphill for us.
Yeah.
This is very deep, you guys.
Exactly.
What was downhill? Saying we surrender to the flow.
Accept, and then when we accepted that outcome of not being able to see the children, then we got the guidance that it is in their soul plan to be separated from you for the time being, so they can come into their own mastery and see things for what they are. Because in that chaos and confusion of the negativity with two parents fighting, kids are not able to make sense of anything. But when you separate the energy for a while, then the dust settles down, and then the children's souls realize, yes, there's unconditional love, and that can never, you cannot never cut that cord.
Yes. So complete the exercise.
Yeah.
This is very good.
Completing the exercise on the piece of paper, your only criteria into deciding which aspects of your life you are taking forward with you in your ascended state, in your 5D reality, the only criteria is what serves my highest good, what serves my highest joy. If it's not serving your highest joy, cross it out. Even if it's something sweet you do for your husband to keep your relationship alive, because he's not because you're overcompensating because of fear, because of your security net, because of your feeling safe in the relationship or on earth. Anything that is not serving you, anything that feel you're over giving, cross it out. Simply cross it out of your life and simplify your life down to the bare elements of what you need to do in your daily life, in your daily to-do list that serves you. So one thing that will arise out of this exercise is that many people will realize, I don't even know what direction I'm going into. I don't even know what my compass is. I don't even know what I want, because I've been spreading myself so thin, trying to please my boss, trying to please my children, trying to please my spouse, trying to please society, wearing this damn mask everywhere I go. So you'll realize that you're serving so many masters that your energy is dissipated like this. Like this is, let's say this is your center, your energy is like this. You're in all these strands, but you need to cut all the strands until your energy becomes like this, back to your center. So another way cut all the excess strands in your life, and only do what serves you. And just to finish the thought, then when you simplify your life and free up your time, you'll realize that you need direction in life, and that starts your journey towards your higher self. When you really take the time to ask, where do I want to go? What is my true north? Where is my compass taking me? What did I come here on earth to achieve? What lights my soul on fire?
That's very, very, very important. And you explained that very well. It's really about seeing what are the distractions in your life, really. And he explained that perfectly. When I left, this is something that's coming to me right now. When I kind of transitioned out of my 3D life, I had about 200 friends, because I was part of this big social circle, they called it, full of, not friendships, but more like gossip and drama and the Louis Vuittons and the Chanels. And I don't know how I got caught in that, but it was because I had lessons to learn from that circle. When I left, there were about 3 ladies in that circle that I actually had a friendship with that didn't judge me for leaving my ex-husband. Everybody else judged me, but these 3 still kept a relationship with me. So when my guide said you need to cut them loose, it was a hard decision for me, because these girls were nice, they were sweet, they never judged me, but they were completely vibrating 3D, or they were completely vibrating, you have to pray 5 times a day, God is judging you, you'll go to hell, and you and Siman need to get married, EldoRa, like you have to get married, it's not right to not be married. They had all these fucked up belief systems, which even I had when I was under the clutches of religion. And my guide said, cut them out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to cut them out. So for 2 months, I wouldn't write to them. Then I would feel bad and I would say, hi, everybody. How are you? You want to eat for lunch? And then I would take a 6-month break. And then, one day I cut them loose. I cut them loose like I dropped a bag of stones. And literally what I did was I sent them all a message, the three of them, and I said, hey guys, I just want to let you know that right now I'm on this YouTube trajectory. I've just started my YouTube channel, as you guys know. Even though we never talk about it, that is really my life. Because they would know I'm on YouTube 2 years ago, but they would never really comment on it. Like, that was not a part of our discussions. It was more about, why aren't you getting married? So I said, I love you guys. Now I'm on a very I have this YouTube channel, so right now that's where my focus is. I send you guys all my love. Know that I've appreciated every moment we've shared together. Thank you. I love you. And then I blocked them on WhatsApp, and I blocked them out of my life, because if you block them on WhatsApp, they're out of your life. It's as simple as that. It's actually as simple as that.
Yeah, you have to block all communication. You can't have one.
You can't have one foot in the door. And you know what happened? I did this in all. This is very important. This is actually how we have arrived at where we are today. We cut all the tethers, literally, like we sliced them out one at a time.
We did it like scientists.
Including my mother. My
like
mother
surgeons.
was a burden tether who was constantly reflecting to me what a loser in life I was. And I'm thinking, you don't even know jack shit. Like, why are you trying to coach me? But I wouldn't say that to her, because we have been trained to respect our mothers. So I gave her a second chance. I gave her a third chance. I gave her a fourth chance. I gave her a fifth chance. And finally, one day I said, I'm blocking you for 1 year. And 1 year later, we'll see how you behave, and then we'll decide. And so 1 year later, I unblocked her. Within a week, she was blocked again. Then I let her stay blocked for 3 months. I unblocked her. Within 2 days, I had to block her again. So then I realized, oh my God, this is the universe trying to say, cut her loose, but not with revenge, not with resentment, but with a sense of compassion,
and
with
acceptance.
a sense of acceptance, with a sense of complete forgiveness, with no malintent. And I made peace that even though she's my mother, biological mother, she's not serving my highest good. She has all the help she needs in India. She has a partner now. Since my father passed away, she got married. So I love that she has all the stability, and we're not meant to be together, because she was a big tether holding me down. So again, I cut her off. And now, you know what? This is also very important. When you cut tethers loose, there will be, this is super important, you guys, there will be cycles in time where the same tethers come back into your lives to test you. Like, even now, once in a while, I'll see a message, a comment, and even the comment will be reeking of, I send you peace every day. I send you prayers every day. But it's got so much guilt projected at
and
you.
expectation.
Because now we can read energy, right? We can say, oh my God, so much guilt. But I just have complete neutrality. I don't need to ban her. I don't need to block her. She's just like someone who's watching us, who still is triggered by us. She's just an audience member now. But the important thing is that these loops come back in cycles. So every year you might have that same relationship come back. You might have that same pattern come back. And it's important when it does to not say, oh, I think now I should forgive her. There's nothing to forgive. You are already in a state of forgiveness. It's important to, at that moment when it comes back, not reattach to it, because now guess what? You've literally gone back in time, and you're saying, I need this lesson for a few more times because I have not learned my lesson.
Yes.
You see how powerful it is? I'm ready to wrap up when you are. So if you have anything, so it's super important to understand all of this. And guys, I'm so happy we made this video. So we got a download 2 days ago. It's a galactic update on current events, and those kind of videos, Siman loves them. He's like, I want to make a galactic video, and I have this so much. And I'm thinking, that's the last, because, I'm more feminine. So this morning when he said galactic video, I'm like, you make it alone or we'll make it another day, because today I felt like making this. And so this was fully in alignment, and I'm so happy we made it, because now we can make the galactic video in a couple of days. And now I'll also be interested in it. But this feels more in flow with the energy. This feels
actually more in alignment with what we needed to deliver today, because this chaos is not just in your life. It's not just you alone that feels this overwhelm. This anxiety is through the roof right now. All of the month of March, we're going to be in this intense upwards energetics. And these energies are really teaching us how to train and surrender our ego, because our ego literally is like training a pet. It's like training your pet dog. It's like teaching the ego how to sit, teaching him or her how to stop or stand or move forward. So you really need to take these energies and realize that you're in a training program. This is not all that there is. Your life on earth is just the beginning or the training phase of your actual ascended life. So think of everything that you do here as part of that training, and you'll fly.
Yes, I love that. So I'm feeling called that we can all close this circle with 3 ohms that we will all recite together. Okay? So I invite you all to close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let's do that again. Deep breath in. Exhale it out. One more time. Deep breath in. Exhale it out. On your next deep breath in, you're going to exhale to Om, and we're going to do it 3 times together and then close this circle, okay? So let's start. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Maintain this calm, maintain this peace, maintain this expanded feeling, and take it with you wherever you go. We send you our love, and we will see you very soon with all our love, you guys. And for
Take
those
care.
of you who have forgotten, we have a cord cutting ritual with Archangel Michael coming up on March 20th. I would highly recommend that every single one of you participate. If for whatever reason you are absolutely unable to afford it, we believe in the integrity system, honor system. Write to info@houseofra.com, and Alice will send you a 50% off link for $55. We need our family, soul family, to do this cord cutting because of how important it is in the current times to be actually extracting these traumas, these energies from our chakras for what lies ahead in our ascension
And
journey.
to untether our soul, really. That's what this whole month is about. It's about untethering our soul.
And you know, it's very interesting that everything we talked about today, I wasn't even aware of talking about the cord cutting because I had forgotten. And just when I finished chanting, my guide said, mention that.
Yeah.
And now it's making
It's so
sense.
appropriate.
It is so appropriate. So every single one of you is invited. Please come. It's going to be online on Zoom. It's on Sunday. We've kept it it's going to be a cacao ceremony, shamanic cacao ceremony. It's going to be very heart opening. And right now, this is what we need in the collective right now. We need the sense of stability.
And
I love
tickets are
you.
available at EldoRaSiman.love.
Yes, EldoRa and Siman.love. The tickets are available. And we've kept it at a time where most of the time zones can attend. But
And there
2
will be
o'clock?
replays.
Yes, there'll be a replay. So if you are in India and whatever reason you cannot attend, when you wake up, our Zoom administrator would have sent you the replay, which you can watch after and still get all the healing and the benefits, because we're going to be doing a live healing with Archangel Michael. And we have done this ceremony once in Toronto, or twice actually, with a room full of people, and it was extremely powerful.
And it's not just a healing, it's actually a psychic cord cutting procedure that, as far as I know, only we're aware of that. And it goes deep, you guys. So
Yes,
this is
it's
actually
important.
like pulling out psychic cords, energetic, etheric cords from your chakras.
Yeah.
So it gets very specific. It's very powerful.
And for those of you who are, like right now, we're actually 30% sold out or 25% sold out of our Tulum event. So if you guys are planning to join us in Tulum, email us again, info@houseofra.com. You need to put down a deposit of 1111, so $1,111 US, and then you'll be sent the accommodation link. We've kept it super affordable for 5 days in Tulum. It's 4 nights. It happens May 11th to 15th, and many of you may want to stay back an extra 2 or 3 days after the event, or at least one extra night, to just hang out with Soul Family and go to cenotes and do some excursions together. So if you haven't booked your flights yet, I would highly recommend one, if not 2 extra nights, but after the retreat, not before. After the retreat.
And the reason we're being guided to do these events is because it's now more than ever important to anchor the highest divine light on planet Earth, so we can anchor the frequencies of the peace that we build within these sacred containers in these 5-day events. What we're doing in this sacred container is actually building a miniature version of New Earth, where we all co-create and celebrate and eat delicious organic foods and play music around bonfires and dance and joy, because in Ascended Earth, that's all there's going to be. And if we start to anchor pockets of these Ascended Earth realities, we're really digging into the grids of Gaia and saying, this is what humanity wants.
Yes.
So this is you casting your vote.
Yes. And this is you showing up to do the light work.
Yes.
This is you saying, I am ready to get on the ascension train because I believe that I have to invest in myself. I believe that I have to show up. And this is you saying, I have actually mastered all my blocks. I have mastered my abundance. I've understood that I can go with 3 basic meals a day. But what's important for me is to show up when the ascension bell is heard.
Yes.
So this is super important. I have goosebumps as I said that. Anytime that happens, it's like my guides speaking through me, because this is really all of us doing the light work that we came here to do. This is not just fun and games. Even though we make all our events a lot of fun, this is really us doing God's work. And there's not enough people right now on earth who are doing this. So we send the call out to all of you, hear the call, rise to the occasion, book your tickets to Tulum, fly in here. If at one point we reach capacity and we feel like there's a lot more people who want to come, who need to come, we're going to open up other avenues where maybe you come, and we're already working on a plan B situation. So the most important thing is to align to whether it is a yes, 100% yes for you. And if it is, make that your top priority. All right, my friends, all our love. Take care. Bye now. We'll see you soon.